One,
Okay.
two, three. Yeah, good to go.
So, hello and welcome to each and every one of you to this big Bong quiz that I'm hosting today. This is for JSKS, and this is a quiz which is primarily a India quiz with a tinge towards the Bengali culture and Bengal in general. So, there's a mix of questions, some of which is about Bengal and Bengali culture, and primarily most of them is vocable, and the rest of the question is about India. So 40 questions in all is what we are doing, and it is teams of two or less. So any one registered member can take the chance to fill up the answers in the form sheet that will be shared with you. So there are a few other rules that I want to share with you all. Use earphones for better experience. Do not refresh this page when the quiz is on. Your responses might get cleared. If you're facing any difficulty answering, then you can use the answer sheet in a separate tab basically. You'll be allowed to submit answers only after entering the registered mail ID. So you'd have seen in the registration of the quiz that there's a link towards the TackOn page where you get to register your teams. And we'll be giving you 2 minutes at the end of the video to submit answers, because we live in an era of quizzing where everybody kind of nurtures their Googling skills more than their thinking skills. So 2 minutes, I think, is, I mean, that kind of suffices for putting in the answer, since it's not a very difficult quiz. The answer shall be revealed to you on YouTube at the end of the link after you successfully submit your answers. That is all, I guess. All the best.
Yeah,
Let's
Nishant,
start with
let me give something else. Uh, the links for the video and the answer sheet are just below this answer sheet. If you're finding any difficulty on this page, you can open those two links in two different tabs and continue the quiz. That's it. Yeah, you can continue, Nishant.
So I should say here that the answer. Okay, fair enough. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So that is the explanation part. Let's go to the quiz now. Which bank was started in 1931 by this gentleman on the auspicious occasion of Vijayadashami and appropriately named so? In 2017, with which existing bank did this entity merge? So two parts. First is the bank that was founded by this gentleman in 1931 and on the auspicious occasion of Vijayadashami, which is what the quiz is all about. And in 2017, that bank or that entity merged with which existing bank? Easy one to start off with. Moving on to question number 2. At the age of 8, he released his first Bengali album, Tomra Shunbe To, for which his name was recorded in the Limca Book of Records for being the youngest singer to release his own original album. Currently, this gentleman is seen on a TV show. Who is his famous father? We'll have some easy questions going forward. So he
You
had a Limca Book of Records to his name.
You need to submit your
Uh,
answers once you submit first answer, press next, you'll go to the second answer, press next, you'll go to the third answer. That's how it goes on.
okay, so that's how Vishnu explaining you. So you need to submit before you move on to the second question, then submit and you move on to the third question, and so on. So this is question number 2. Identify this person's father. So New Age Content House, Boundless Media launched this web series recently, and it's a tragicomedy on Gen Z's social media trysts. It takes inspiration from an infamous practice of boycotting and group shaming a person on social media if their actions are seen as objectionable. What is the one-word title of the show? So we know nowadays that there are a lot of people who are boycotting items. There are campaigns being withdrawn. There are movies getting negative reviews. So this is part of a culture where people uh, kind of bully you into uh, doing something on the social media. That culture, the first word that is the name of the culture is also the name of this web series. You can see it's it says just troll with it. One word thing. So kind of just think what happens when people give negative reviews to movies. How does one feel? How does it affect movies, or how does it affect shows when they are made to go through this difficult social media bullying tactics? One word name for the show. Moving on. Established on October 14, 2013 in South Korea, AWEB is the first global organization of election management bodies. So AWEB is basically the alliance or the association of world election bodies. So who is its current chairman? Difficult looking question with a pretty simple answer. I don't need the position that this gentleman holds. What is the name of this gentleman? I just want the name. Who's the current chairman? Think of India. Moving on to the next one. In the new normal, people are concerned about the surfaces they touch with their hands. So a company has come up with these kind of products, as you can see. There's an arm pull handle, there's a foot pull twist, there's a universal brass key, which you can see is being used to cue in numbers on an ATM pad, and it's also being used to open windows. So these products are available exclusively on Amazon. So which company has manufactured them? So they want to avoid any direct contact to keep themselves safe from germs, so the customers can use them to be contactless basically. Which company has launched these? Moving on to the sixth question. The Bengal Suba was a subdivision of the Mughal Empire, which was touted to be the wealthiest and most industrially developed place in the Indian subcontinent. The living standards and real wages of its inhabitants were among the highest in the world then, and it alone contributed to 12% of the world's GDP. In 1610, Subedar Islam Khan established Jahangir Nagar as the capital of the Suba, named after the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. How do we know Jahangir Nagar today? So in the recent news, there have been a lot of talks about countries and their GDPs of India's GDP contracting. So quite logically, how do we better know Jahangir Nagar today? So there's much hype about some countries overtaking India. So on those norms, how do we better know Jahangir Nagar today, which was the capital of the Bengal Suba? Moving on to the seventh question. So this is an artwork by Ganesh Pine, who is one of the best known artists to have emerged from West Bengal, died impoverished. So this is based on a character from Indian mythology whose devotion, as stated by sage Markandeya, matched that of Draupadi. So Yudhishthira once was talking to Markandeya, and he said, "Do you know somebody who is as devoted as Draupadi is?" So sage Markandeya started narrating the story of this character. So name this work, which also shares its name with an epic work of spiritual literature cited by an Indian patriot. So an Indian patriot, one of his famous works, an epic, is also named after the same character, which is also the name of this painting. And if you can look at the painting, it will kind of, easy to decipher. What is the name of this artwork by Ganesh Pine? Moving on to question number 8. So this service came up in September this year in an Indian city and was designed mainly for certain kind of travelers. You can see the picture here. There are some images there which are very much helpful. Onboarders were given a free pen for a week as they leafed through magazines and books. So what is this the first of its kind in the world, and who is the targeted segment it is trying to cater to? So you can see there are people, there are some books, there's a big photograph in the middle. And this was launched in an Indian city in September this year. And you can see that onboarders were given a free pen for a week. So what is this the first of its kind in the world, and who is the targeted segment it is trying to cater to? Moving on to question number 9. In September 1979, while playing in the Kanga League, this gentleman was trying to snatch a quick single when the fielder threw the ball back to the stumps. Unfortunately, the ball directly hit his head, leading to a major critical surgery. This eventually led him to a career away from cricket. So, who is this gentleman? Kanga League is in Maharashtra. So, this was a gentleman who was playing cricket in the league and he got hit by a ball, and that made him sway away from cricket to the field where he's currently known. Uh, he was coached by a very legendary Indian coach. Yeah, that might be a hint. So identify this person. In called Sachin Tendulkar is Guru Bhai maybe. So identify this famous Indian person. Moving on to question number 10. So Bhanu Athia recently passed away. This is kind of a tribute question. Bhanu Athia famously won an Oscar in 1982 for the film Gandhi, which she shared with this gentleman on the left. This gent has another Oscar to his name for his costume designs in a 1977 film, which is part of a famous series. So which is this famous series, sci-fi series, if I say, make it easier for you. So this gentleman won 2 Oscars, one of which he shared with Bhanu Athia in 1982 for the Gandhi film, and the other one a part of a franchisee of movies. So, which is this famous sci-fi franchisee for which he designed costumes? That's question number 10 for you. Moving on to question number 11. So, native to the deserts of Iran and the mountains of Afghanistan, this spice found its way into India from Kabul. Its common name in Persian, Badian, meant that of gas or wind due to its use in relieving stomach gas. In India, it proves indispensable in discouraging the consumption of onion and garlic. So, because we try a lot to enforce vegetarian diet on people, so it is indispensable there. In 2019 alone, India imported approximately 1,500 tons of this, spending about 942 crores. To counter this rising imports, earlier this month, that is this month, for the first time, a group of farmers in Kwaring village in Himachal took up its cultivation, backed by CSIR. What is this food of the devils? That's under quote. So that's for no help, that's the picture of the sapling which was planted for the first time in India of this spice. So identify which spice is being talked of. Too many clues is in question. Its common name in Persian, Badian, means that of gas or wind, helps in indigestion problems, to solve indigestion problems. And what is this? Food of the devils. Moving on to question number 12. This soft, lightweight form of a muslin was used to make baby clothes and lingerie well up to the mid-20th century. First documented in 1790, it takes its name from a Hindi word meaning eye's delight. So that is a name. Hindi mein eye's delight is also the name of this fabric. So simply identify the fabric. That's question 12 for you. Moving on to 13. This is about a character, basically a person or a character. I want his name. A polyglot of 69 languages, which scientist who resides in Girid is now in Jharkhand, has to his credit a few of the following inventions. Intellectron, a device which helps to measure intelligence. Miracural, a miracle cure for all ailments. Linguagraph, a device that translates any earthly language into another earthly language. Remembran, a device that makes people remember anything that they forgot. So look at these inventions and guess the name of the scientist. Remember, this quiz has a lot to do with Bengal and Bengali culture, with Bengali literature and with Bengali fiction. So on those, on that note, basically, identify which scientist is this. Moving on to question number 14. He founded a company named Water Living that manufactured and sold houseboats. This is a gentleman on the left. He built and sold a boat restaurant Jiva to restaurateur John Hoy, established a media station on boat and an affordable housing scheme for people on boats who found living in cities too expensive. For which mid-90s incident in India is he most known? The incident is still unresolved. A few years back, a movie also came out, which a mainstream commercial movie from Bollywood came out, which kind of touched upon the subject of that concerned this gentleman, that event that concerned this gentleman. So he has a company named Water Living. Is a manager and founder of a houseboat company, for which mid-90s incident is he most known for in India, one that is still unresolved. Moving on to question number 15. Bardhaman in West Bengal enjoys the GI tag for two food items. One is a fine granular mass identified by its yellow color. The other is a white vermicelli-like item made from Gobindabhog rice flour. Name both. So everybody expected me probably to ask a question about Rasagolla. Me being an Odia and hosting a quiz for the Bongs, but I kind of avoided that. Instead, we have a non-controversial GI tag question and two products from Bardhaman. One is a fine granular mass. Fine granular is in the quote, so that will help you. The other is a white vermicelli-like item made from Gobindabhog rice flour. So which are these two GI tagged food items from West Bengal? Moving on to question number 16. The origins of the shading profession lay in old Rajasthan, where societal pressure forbade people from openly expressing emotions. I mean, that is something which still goes on, and we are not expected to openly express ourselves. Such is the societal pressure. So what is this profession which is exclusively limited to females that might remind you of a 1993 movie? So these people were basically hired to openly express grief. The 1993 movie in turn was dedicated to an actor famous for playing villainous roles who passed away just before the film's release. Who was this actor? Two parts here again. What is this profession which might remind you of the name of a 1993 film? And who was this actor to which this movie was dedicated, who passed away just before the release of this 1993 film? Two parts here. Moving on to question number 17. The Tatas launched India's first clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, CRISPR, coronavirus test in association with CSIR, touted to be the world's first diagnostic test to deploy a specifically adapted CS9 protein, after which famous detective is this name. So it helps you to detect the COVID virus. So after which famous detective is this test named after? It's considered to be one of the cheapest diagnostic tests that's available in India currently. So easy. After which detective, famous detective, is it named after? Moving on to 18. What one word connects to a Raj comic superhero, a 1993 Hindi film starring Nana Patekar, a brand of Indian pan masala, and a little known channel called Harvest TV. What one word connects a Raj comic superhero, a 1993 Hindi movie starring Nana Patekar, a brand of Indian pan masala, and a little known channel called Harvest TV? Harvest TV was later renamed into something and was in a lot of controversy. So, what is that? One word. Moving on to question number 19. Easy again. Tamil Nadu's Industrial Development Department Principal Secretary N. Muruganandam and Additional Secretaries Arun Roy and Karkala Usha have are board members. Cut that happen. Are board members of which joint venture company between Tamil Nadu and an Indian behemoth in which the state government owns 28%. In news recently, so I don't want the name of the brand, I just need the name of a company. So Tamil Nadu Industries Department Principal Secretary and Additional joint venture company between Tamil Nadu and an Indian behemoth in which the state government of Tamil Nadu owns 28%, which is the company. Moving on to question number 20, halfway through the quiz. What is that one name that connects all these brands? Again, a quiz that is centered around West Bengal a little bit. So you see the names over here: Grey Kill Spray Foam from Dr. Ray's, LearnFlix, which is the digital teaching platform launched by the S. Chand Group, Senco Gold and Diamonds, PC5, a startup where they're trying to create a marketplace for sporting merchandise and for sports tourism. The logo of Xiaomi, JSW Cement, and Ajanta Shoes. This is an inexhaustive list. There are more names that can be added here. What one name, what the name of one person connects to all these brands? Moving on to question number 21. So this is a book, Memoirs, Roland Ross, with the full account of the great malaria problem and its solution, which Arthur C. Clarke Award winning medical thriller is loosely based on this book and the life of the Nobel laureate who wrote this. So the Arthur C. Clarke Award is awarded for books in the domain of fiction. So which Arthur C. Clarke Award winning medical thriller is loosely based on this book and the life of the Nobel laureate? This happened in 1990s. Again, think somewhere around Bengal. Moving on to 22. In English grammar, there exist compound words, neither element of which is subordinate to the other. These words represent a class consisting of two elements having a coordinate relationship as if connected by and, but not actually so. Examples being bittersweet, brother, sister. Even we inquired one tragicomedy in the beginning of the quiz. So these words are known by a term. What are such words called which borrow their name from Sanskrit? So the term which is used to refer to these kind of words takes its name from Sanskrit. So look at the definition. Two words, neither element of which is subordinate to other. Two words joined together to form a word, and each of the word, they are not subordinate to each other. And such words take their name from Sanskrit. They are referred to by a word which takes its name from Sanskrit. What is the word used to refer to such kind of compound words? Bittersweet, brother, sister, tragicomedy, husband, wife. Moving on. This is, as you can see, this is the diagram. This is basically a visualization of the chakra view. Because of its resemblance to a particularly blossoming flower, by what other name was the Chakravyuha known in the Mahabharata? Some people might draw very uh, strange conspiracy theories about this flower and how its blossoming rather is creating a lot of problems in the country. So because of its resemblance to a particular blossoming flower, by what name is the Chakravyuha in the Mahabharata also known as? So it's known as Dash Vyuha after the name of this flower. Moving on to 24. So Sita was a 1933 Bengali talkie film directed by Devaki Ghosh for the East India Company, a production house that was started by a Marwari gentleman in Bengal. So what prestigious first did this movie go on to achieve that is wrongly attributed many a times to a 1936 film based on the life of a saint? So this 1933 film, this Bengali talkie film, was the first to achieve something prestigious in the history of Indian cinema. It got a lot of name and fame for the country, but people misattribute this first to another movie, 1936 movie that is based on the life of a saint. That the other movie, the to which this first is accredited, is a Marathi film. So, what first in Indian cinema, or what first was achieved by Sita? So the East India Company, along with Sita, they also had another movie called Savitri, which was also kind of a competitor for this first, but Savitri was not the one which came first. This movie was the first to accomplish this feat. Savitri was a Tamil movie. This was a Bengali movie, Sita. What first did it achieve? In Zarir Marsani's Tale of the Raj, there is an anecdote about a gentleman who made a visiting card that was unique in its own way. The rear end of the card carried images of the victims of the Bengal famine. About 296 of these cards were printed and passed on to government officials upon this gentleman's arrival in Delhi. This was one of the most hard-hitting maneuvers to draw attention to the disaster that was widely overlooked by the British government. Who was this bold gent? Although thought-provoking, as you can see, this is a very tragic image that has been portrayed over here. Although thought-provoking, this gentleman's activism on the disaster later turned out to be ironical in a certain way, thanks to his associations with an establishment that started off in 1907 and was deep sunk in racist practices in its early days. Which establishment, or what was the irony? Again, this is around Bengal. So this gentleman, he printed cards, visiting cards. At the back of the visiting card, he had 4 images from Bengal famine. So the British government had widely refuted that this was not a famine of any sort. So to draw their attention, this person printed 4 graphic images of poverty in his visiting card, which he circulated when he went to Delhi. And he made sure that a lot of officials from the British government got these cards so that they could actually know the extent to which the disaster had spread in Bengal. And although this was thought-provoking, this gentleman's activism later turned out to be ironical, thanks to an organization that was started way off in 1970. So not an organization, I'll say an establishment, a very famous elite establishment in Bengal. So what establishment, or what was the irony about? Moving on to question number 26. From Bengal to another part of the country. The story goes back to 1880s when a gentleman was fighting a war and his wife, unable to trace her husband, started praying to the local deity. The local deity over here is Bajinath Mahadev, a form of Lord Shiva. So this story makes the Bajinath Mahadev temple in Malwa Agar unique. What is the unique distinction that this temple holds? So in a time where we are constantly talking about breaking down religious structures, There's something unique about the construction of this temple. So what is it about the construction of this temple that makes it unique? Moving on to question number 27. You can probably take a minute more on this. Bajinath Mahadev temple in Malwa. So the husband was basically involved in a battle and the wife did not know the whereabouts. So he started praying to the local deity and ultimately the husband survived and returned back. So the couple did something which makes it a unique temple. What is the unique distinction that it holds? Moving on to 27. Founded by an ex-chairman of SEBI, that's the Security Exchange Board of India. This is the world's largest organization of its kind that is involved in the free fitting of a device that costs approximately $45 and has helped thousands of people since its development in 1968. So the name of the organization is Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayata Samiti. So they help in the fitting of a product or a device that costs approximately $45. What is this device that they help to fit for free? This device has actually helped a lot of people, and if you can go to the name of the organization, you kind of know, okay, who is the target end for this device, who are the people it might help. So simply put, what is the device that they help to fit for free? The device in turn got its creator a Ramon Magsaysay award, if I may give that as a hint. Moving on to question 28. What is this exhaustive list about and who is the first entrant in the list? So there's a blank, the name of a person, from 2003 to 2009, sorry. Then there's Sachin Tendulkar from 2014 to 20. And there's Navjot Singh Sidhu, who happened in 2016. So whose name has been blanked out and what is this list about? Two parts again. What is this exhaustive list about and who is the first entrant in the list? Pretty easy. Moving on to question number 29. Again, an easy one. So Sanjeev Basak from Assam, who had previously made it to the 2019 Assam Book of Records for creating a Durga idol using waste electrical wires weighing 166 kgs, spent about 2 months to create this idol of Ma Durga using over 30,000 discarded items. He wants to draw attention to the laxity in dealing with a certain kind of toxic waste coming from stores focused around one industry. What is this idol made up of? Simply look closely at the images. The image in the bottom will give you a clearer idea than the one in the top. What is this idol of Ma Durga made out of? Moving on to question number 30. Which newspaper founded by an ex-Indian PM has a separate section called Eye on RSS that specifically deals with events and comments concerning the Sangha? If you look at the image, then there is a very big hint over there. There's a very big hint in the image, which I haven't blanked out. So which newspaper founded by an Indian PM has a section called Eye on RSS? Moving on to question 31. So believed to be the first shop of its kind in Thailand, it was founded by this woman named Arjan Play, a Professor Play as most of her clients now call her. She took up a trendy fashion norm, which is very common among young people, and mixed it with a practice that traces its origin back to Maharshi Valmiki, from whom the practice seems to have originated. He actually wrote a 567 stanza book on this, from which this practice came up. I mean, the Hindus are believed to be the progenitors of this practice, and later on it spread to different parts of Asia. So capitalizing on the fear of missing out among people, her shop is quite a hit. What does the shop deal with? A two-word answer. What does she do in a shop? Just look carefully at the image. What might she be doing? Something that is pretty trendy among the youth and which can also be attributed to Maharishi Valmiki, from whom the practice seems to have evolved from. So combine two different practices, a trend with a cultural practice, add it, and that is what she does in the shop. And see that she's trying to capitalize on the fear among people. So there is something that the people are afraid of, which she tries to address through a trendy mean in a shop. What does she do? Two-word answer. I need two basic parts in the answer. Moving on to 32. Easy one. The Pratichi India Trust was set up in New Delhi in 1999 to pursue research and advocacy goals in public education, public health, child development, nutrition, and gender equality. So, who is its famous founder? Of repeated couple of times, Tata Crucibles. So, the Pratichi India Trust was set up by which gentleman? Think about all the topics in which it is conducting research. Very famous Indian who has constantly landed up in problems because of his statements that have not been taken very favorably by the current government, if I may say, who established this Pratichi Trust. Moving on to question 33. A large number of people who received the Padma Awards in 2016 were from outside the list of nominations received by the government. Data obtained by the Indian Express under the RTI showed. Among these were journalists Rajat Sharma and Swapan Das Gupta and advocate Harish Salve. So which late leader had nominated the trio? Pretty easy one. See the name of Rajat Sharma and Swapan Das Gupta and advocate Harish Salve. So which late leader had nominated the three people? Moving on to 34. This advertisement marked the first occurrence of something in India led by R.C. Chatterjee. So you can see the first native attempt in India, Babu Ramchandra Chatterjee, the first Indian dash in his own dash, the city of Calcutta will ascend from the gasworks ground on Saturday, April 27, 1889. Gates open at 2 p.m. and this blank ascends at 4:30 p.m. assisted by the Beadon Square Amateur Dash Band. So this person was an acrobat and a trapeze artist in the National Circus Company, and he later became the director of General United Indian Circus Company. What was he the first to do in India? That would be question number 34. He was the first to do something professionally in India. The point of time in which when this advertisement came out, that was also the time when a famous British who is believed to be the pioneer of this thing was in Kolkata, and it was he who actually inspired this gentleman to take up this profession. So what was this gentleman, Babu Ramchandra Chatterjee, the first to do in India? Moving on to 35. The Department of Post of Government of India issued a postage stamp to memorialize the bicentennial of this lady in 1993. So she is the founder of a temple that brought a little known Gadadhar Chattopadhyay to prominence. So identify this lady. A famous incident around her is that she actually created a blockade in the lower half of the Ganga river in order to make sure that the British could not make entries to the interior parts of the region which she was the zamidar of, and by that way she helped local people save on taxes. So hugely influential. This lady inspired a little known person called Gadadhar Chattopadhyay, who is known by a more famous name. So it is because of her that this gentleman actually rose to prominence. Identify this lady. Moving on to 36. around Bengal again maybe. Connect the three to the name of a district. You can see a tribe. So these are people from a particular tribe. That is a very famous lady who is considered to be one of the most beautiful women in the world. The third is a picture of a young Yuvraj Singh lifting a trophy. So connect the three to the name of a district. A tribe, a world famous lady who was famed for her beauty, and a young picture of Yuvraj Singh lifting a trophy. Connect this three to the name of a district. Moving on to question number 37. In an interview, a gentleman had the following to say. In my gap year, I was teaching English to Tibetan Buddhist monks in a Nepali home near Darjeeling. They were amazingly warm, intelligent, humorous people. They were hard to teach English to. I built a blackboard, which no other previous teachers seemed to have done. With 12 monks in a room with an age range of about 8 to 40, that's quite important. The reward punishment thing of sweets or game or no game, that worked quite well. But they taught me a lot more than I could ever teach them. So a gentleman was basically speaking this in an interview, and it seems that teaching these Buddhist monks actually made a big difference to his life. Uh, because in 2016, in a major 2016 commercial work, it became quite evident when the gentleman was kind of trying to put into use his experience, what he had learned, the way he had lived there on screen maybe. And he also played narrator to the Plum Village documentary Walk With Me, which premiered in 2017. So who is this gentleman who is talking about his little known experience of teaching monks in Darjeeling? So think of a 2016 commercial work which had depictions of Buddhist monks and a guy going there probably to learn from them. Also the narrator of a Plum Village documentary Walk With Me. Who is this gentleman? Moving on to question 38. The founder of the modern city of Singapore, this Raffles, was visiting a establishment started by Governor General Richard Wellesley in 1810 in Bengal when he encountered a tapir. So he took inspiration from this visit, and upon his return to Europe, he, along with a famous British inventor, set up the oldest establishment of a certain kind in the world. So what did he set up? Who was the other inventor who helped him set this up? So just a second. So he was the founder of the city of Singapore, and he was visiting the Governor General Richard Wellesley in 1810 in Bengal, and he encountered this animal. He took inspiration from this visit and what he saw in the establishment. So when he returned back to Europe along with another famous British inventor, he set up the oldest establishment of a certain kind in the world. So what did he set up? Inspired by something he saw in Bengal. And who was the other inventor who helped him set this up? Moving on to 39. This was an American action series broadcast on NBC from 1982 to 86, starring David Hasselhoff. He was kind of a Bruce Wayne kind of a character, and he was assisted in his work by Kit, which is an advanced AI, and he had a nearly indestructible car. So he was a modern day vigilante and a billionaire. So in the name of which Indian sporting entity would you find a reference to this series? So in the name of which Indian sporting entity would you find a reference to this series? Whatever the name of the series was. So the name of the series actually came from the name of this character whose surname was also a part of the series name. So in the name of which Indian sporting entity, which is still very much in the mix of things now, would you find a reference to this series? Moving on to the last question. Easy one. Which company is making its re-entry into the smartphone market with a brand called In, named after India? The company shared a small video for the same, continuing with its Chini Kam motto. So this company follows a motto called Chini Kam. That's like cut down on bullshit and let's get to the point. So see, they state that the In series of smartphones will add a lot of masala to the lives of Indian users. So which is this company? So that would be the 40 questions that we have for you. We'll give you a couple of minutes to jot down on things that you've missed. Vishnu, would you like to add something more here?
Yeah,
For the people.
once you submit the answers, we'll get a link for the live video where we'll be revealing the answers in some time, or that will be on YouTube directly. You just open that link and wait, and we'll be live there. Yeah, that's it, Nishant. You can
So
end.
that is it from our end. I guess give them 30 seconds more.
Yeah, we'll stop the form
Wrap up
in
the
2 minutes.
answers.
The moment this video ends, we'll have 2 minutes to submit the answers. Yeah, thank you.
And yes, happy Durga Puja to all of you. I
Yeah,
missed saying it. Keep on quizzing. Keep on being safe. Do not visit pandals. I mean, do visit
yeah.
pandals, but make
Come
sure
back
that
to
you wear
the live
masks.
video. We'll tell you all these things there also.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I think that's it. We gave them a minute half, I guess.
yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you for turning out. All the best.